You're getting very... Hey gang, Jeff Stone here with day 19 of the year 2016 at magicreviewed.com. That's right, 19 days, 19 reviews, and it almost didn't happen today, but it did. 4.5 freaking hours, the good kind of freaking hours. Induction by Spidey. Let me start off by telling you this. I do have a background of, I don't know if background's the right word, but a history with hypnosis. I used to do, we'll call it therapy, hypnosis therapy. I did that, and I did entertainment hypnosis. I've not near as much experience as Spidey and a lot of guys out there. I didn't do it full time. I didn't even do it for a living. I just did it for fun, basically. And so, oh, sorry, my hair's getting in my eyes. Sorry about that. Anyway, so know that going into this, that this was 20 years ago. But when I was in the Navy, in boot camp, believe it or not, looking at me, this was 200 pounds ago. But when I was in the Navy in boot camp, I was actually in really good shape. And for whatever reason, I just had a knack for doing sit-ups. I was really good at doing sit-ups. And there were a few guys that were not graduating boot camp because they couldn't do sit-ups. Some of them couldn't do push-ups. And I used some hypnosis techniques to help them overcome that. And they passed their tests. Even the guys, I sucked at push-ups, but I was still able to help the guys do push-ups just through hypnosis techniques. I used to work for a sales company years ago. It was probably 14, 15 years ago, where we took one salesperson and we did some hypnosis work with her, and she tripled her sales and stayed the top salesperson until she left. So I do have a background in that kind of stuff. And then again, the entertainment stuff, I did it at parties, small little gatherings. And I did that just, again, for fun. So I do have a background. I do have some experience with this. And so going into this, I'll be speaking sort of from that perspective. First of all, one of the reasons I quit, sorry, Spidey, we'll get to you in a second here. One of the reasons I quit doing it is because I did not like having that much control over somebody. It's a little bit scary, quite frankly. And so I just gave it up. I haven't done it for years, probably 15 years or so. In fact, the last time I probably did it was that salesperson at that company years ago. So after watching this, however, I'm thinking I want to get into it again and start performing, doing a hypnosis show. That's how inspiring and inspirational and motivational this DVD set is. The first disc is 3 hours, and it's purely instructional. And it's Spidey sitting on at the Murphy's studio with a big easel and like a white notepad, talking to us, drawing on the thing. And then after each subject, he'll cut to some footage from his actual show to show us, live what he was just talking about. And I'm telling you, the training is awesome. I mean, it's just so well done. It's so detailed. It covers everything from the first second you walk on the stage before you've got your subjects on stage. What do you do? How do you interact with the audience? How do you get the audience involved? How do you educate them about what hypnosis is? How do you get their minds ready to be possible subjects in the show? Then how to do sort of a broad test with the entire audience to start getting a feel for some possible volunteers. Then once you get the people up on stage, how to weed them out, how to find the ones that are really going to be good subjects and the ones that aren't, and how to get it down to the the group of people you're going to use, and then the induction techniques that he uses to induce that group of people. And then the types of skits that he does once he's got them in and he starts having all the fun games with them and everything. And then how to close the show. I mean, everything from A to Z, from start to finish, everything that you need to know about putting together and performing and doing a hypnosis show, it is covered on this DVD. Just that one DVD. And it's covered, and it's awesome. The only place where I felt I wish there was more information was the section about how to create your own skits. Now, he's given permission for you to use his skits in the beginning to get a feel for doing your own show, but he recommends that you do your own show and you create your own stuff, and that he doesn't want a bunch of Spidey clones out there, and I totally get that. But he still says, yeah, go ahead and start by using my stuff until you develop your own. And he does give some brief tips and points and ideas on how to create your own and some creative ideas. But that was the only place where I felt a little bit more depth would have been nice. But it's so minute, I'm not even going to let it hit the star rating. So, like I said, he covers everything. And he does, I mean, the DVD lighting, audio, all that stuff's great. The production quality, incredible. But they're smart about the way they did this. Because imagine 3 hours of sitting there with a guy talking to the camera. No matter how good you are, that's hard to do. It's hard to watch. This was the quickest 3 hours I've ever the DVD set I've ever watched. It was super fast. And the reason for that is because they were smart about how they did it. They didn't just have the camera at Spidey's face. They, first of all, would just were smart with using two cameras to cut between the two. But secondly, he's using not a whiteboard, but I'm going to say whiteboard, even though I don't mean whiteboard, but a notepad where he's drawing on there to give you notes and details and to cover things. And actually, now that I think about it, it was a whiteboard. It was, because I remember him lining things out with his finger. So it was a whiteboard. Anyway, so with a whiteboard, and then after every, maybe, every 1 to 2, maybe 3 segments of talking with Spidey, they cut to the live performance footage to show you what he was talking about, to see it in action. And they timed everything great. And I'm not going to tell you what, but there's a little fun surprises when you're watching the performance section that were hilarious. And they weren't even part of the performance. There was something that was going on in the studio, the Murphy studio. And they were freaking hilarious, man. I'll just say Chris Oberly, I believe that's his last name. He's one of the guys that does the At the Table lectures. Dude, funny stuff. Both of you guys, Spidey and Chris, hilarious, man. I just can't get over how well put together this was, because I've watched some of these longer sets that are more than 3 hours, and they're hard to get through sometimes. Even the best stuff, it's harder to get through. So 3 hours of that. And I'm telling you, anything you can imagine wanting to know about having your own hypnosis show, it is covered on disc 1. Disc 2 is simply it's his whole show, with a few of the skits cut out of the middle, so that, because I don't know how long a show is, but it's what you see is about an hour and a half of it. But it's everything. I mean, it's the moment he walks out on stage, him engaging the audience, him getting the potential subjects up on stage, narrowing down the subjects, inducing them, and then testing them, and then filtering them, and then going into the first skits, and then 2 or 3 skits, and then ending the show. They just cut out some of the skits. So you see a whole show, though, basically start to finish for like an hour and a half. He even, in DVD 1, I should mention, he even talks about the different types of things you can make a person do, and what level of trance state they need to be in to do them. And that's nothing new. That concept's been taught elsewhere. In fact, everything on this disc set has been taught elsewhere. But this is probably, for today in our modern world, seeing a modern current live stage show, this is one of the best resources I've ever seen. It is probably the best one I've ever seen. So I don't want you to think that he's like invented all these new hypnosis techniques. A lot of it's his own experience and how he's applied it to his shows. And it's how he feels about some of the stuff, and some of the stuff he talks about is a little bit different from what you might have read in other places. But all in all, you're getting a completely comprehensive course. And so what I was talking about was he breaks it down into 6 different categories of things you can do to a subject on stage, and what level of trance they need to be in, how hard each one is, some examples of each, and then he shows you some examples in his actual performance footage. On and on and on and on and on and on. If you have any interest whatsoever in being an entertainment hypnotist, not a therapist, but an entertainment hypnotist, you absolutely must have this. It's $50. That ain't cheap, but it's worth it. It's worth every penny of it. They claim that it's a master course on the subject. I would totally agree with that. This is a master course on the subject. It is absolutely, I'm giddy about it. I mean, you guys can tell. And so, just to keep things in check, because I'm sure you can tell that there's a lot of emotion and excitement coming from this. And so, but to keep things in check, what is my criteria? Well, we talk about effect just so you know what you're getting. Well, there is no effect here. It's not a trick DVD. And then we talk about method to make sure the methods are legitimate. Okay, well, if you're going to talk about method in a hypnosis DVD, you're going to talk about induction technique and all this. When you watch his live show, which is freaking hilarious and awesome, you'll see that the techniques work. B, I've used these techniques, not exactly the way he does it, but conceptually, and they work. Absolutely work. So, are the methods legitimate? Yeah, of course they are. Ad copy. The only thing in the ad copy that anybody's going to question is going to come from somebody who does not believe that hypnosis is real. And as Spidey said, if you don't believe hypnosis is real, so what? Just because you don't believe it's real doesn't mean it isn't. So, it is real. I'm telling you that from personal experience. It's freaky. And, all the science behind how it works, I don't even know. But it's freaking, it's incredible. It's very, very, he calls it a superpower. And in the ad trailer, you'll see they do a footage that's sort of a parody of the Batman montage where he's putting on his utility belt and his helmet and his cape and his suit and his gloves. They do kind of a funny thing like that. But so when you read the ad copy and it talks about controlling people's minds and all that kind of stuff, if you don't believe in hypnosis, then you're going to think the ad copy is a crock. I'm telling you it's real. The ad copy is real. Everything you read in there is legitimate. And if you go watch the ad trailer, you'll get a good sense of exactly what you're getting, because you'll see clips from the studio and clips from his show, and you'll see A, how good his show is, and B, how good he is at teaching this stuff. And so you'll get, if the ad trailer at all looks interesting to you, you'll be very, very happy with this. So effect, method, ad copy, product quality. Again, the teaching's incredible. The production values are incredible. The only exception to the production value was there was a couple parts of the live show, and this appeared in both the Disc 1 and Disc 2 because they used the same footage. In Disc 1, you just get the footage kind of broken up in chunks and added into the training, whereas in Disc 2, it's just one continuous piece of footage. But there's couple parts of the show where the microphone is funny, sounds a little distorted. A, you can still understand him, and B, it doesn't affect your ability to learn anything. I think it's just a technical glitch that even the audience there was experiencing, because occasionally it would cut back into a normal sound. Again, those are things that I don't feel should hit the rating, though. So that's my criteria. The only other thing that you may think, well, hey, he's being biased here, is I talked about in the written review, his performance is excellent. He's a very good entertainer, and he's very good at making the subjects the star of the show. He's very good at that. And so normally, when I do a review, I don't care if the performer is good or bad. And if they're bad, I'll still be willing to give them a good review if the product is good. And if they're great, I'm still willing to give them a bad review if the product's not good. But in this case, his performance being good is an important piece. It proves he has experience and that he knows what he's talking about. This is a guy who's clearly, by watching that one performance, you will know that he has done this as long as he's claimed that he's done it, and that he truly is an expert on this subject. And you'll get that, and you'll feel that, and you'll see that when you watch the show. So it gives in your mind credibility that he can teach this stuff because he's an expert. So, all that said, 5 stars, stone status, a capital G, capital E, capital M, exclamation point. That's it for this one, folks. Time for you to like the video, subscribe to my channel, and listen to the random iTunes song of the moment, which is It ain't me, babe. It ain't me. Johnny Cash, the man in black. It ain't me. What can I say? It's Johnny Cash. And he rocks. The end. So tune in tomorrow where I can't show you the product. It's day 20 and it's Rise. Let me just get to the guys. Sean Scott. The reason I can't show the product is because it's behind my green screen and I forgot to grab it before I sat down and started filming. But it's Rise by Sean Scott tomorrow, day 20. Until then, thanks for watching, folks. Peace out.